Hi, it's John Osmond again with ProDB Developers, prodbdevelopers.com. In this third video in my series, I'm going to introduce you to a new diagramming tool that's, well, it's new for me. I think it's new out on the internet as well because they're still trying to refine it. But it's this cool little diagramming tool. Let me go ahead and get myself out of the way here. What you do is you just basically tell it over here on this panel what your table names are, and you define your field names with certain attributes and it builds this entire diagram for you, which is very, very convenient. And it gets even better than that here in a little bit. I'll show you. But anyway, just to show you what the content is that I created here, this is a typical customers table, and these sets of tables are typical how you would deal with customers or vendors or maybe even other entity types. You wouldn't put all the fields right in the customer's table because addresses, for example, if you put all these address fields in the customer's table, then you limit them only to those fields. In this way, a customer can have multiple addresses, and you can even list what type it is. So like they might have a shipping address, they might have a P.O. box, they might have a warehouse address, a billing address, something like that. So all the different types of addresses they could possibly have, you could keep track of in a system like this. Same thing with the the contacts. If you just put in, the contact name, the contact first name, last name, whatever, you'd be limited to only what fields you have. If you wanted a second contact, you'd have to add fields for that. So that's not an optimal way to build a database. So you parse that out to a table in a one-to-many relationship. And that's demonstrated over here in this code. Wherever you see the word FK, that means a foreign key constraint. And this little bit right here means it's in a one-to-many relationship with this table, and they're connected where this field matches this field. So, I mean, it makes it really easy to type this up because any of us that work with databases, we've already seen this code a lot. So we just type it right up, and it makes the join lines for us and everything. So also, just to kind of make the example a little bit more robust, I went in through in customer phone numbers because sometimes a customer might have a phone number that's disassociated from any contact, like the office number or the fax number, support line, anything like that. So you'd want to note what type of phone that is, and you could list those phone numbers here. Whereas if the contacts themselves had phone numbers, those would go in here. Those are more people-centric, people-related phone numbers. But still, you'd want to list the phone type. So you'd also in the phone types list, you'd have things like mobile phone. Other than that, I can't really think of any other kind of phone lines that, landline, maybe that. Okay. So the different kind of phones can be definitely dealt with this way. This might seem like overkill, but I wanted to do it in this demo to kind of show you that when somebody really pays attention to detail, this is how they set it up. And then from your point of view, from the user interface, it should be very intuitive. Oh yeah, customer has a phone number. Oh yeah, customer has a contact. Let me add that contact to the database. Now that contact has a phone number. Let me add that in there. So this would be able to handle all that type of stuff. Okay, so now this diagramming tool is definitely very, very cool, and I definitely like the way that you basically just type all this in and it makes the diagram for you. In general, most diagramming tools work the other way. You build the squares and then it generates the code for you. But here's what I want to do is I want to export this code to SQL Server code, SQL Server migration type of code. So I have this export feature here in this, and you just hit SQL Server and you'll see it's going to download something. Now, I've already done it once, so this one gave me a 1 in parentheses, but that's all right, that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. If I click on it, it'll open up in Visual Studio Code. Now, I see a couple of problems with this. One is that it didn't give me anywhere where I can prepend the schema. As you know, in the last video, I just created a bunch of schema, and what that's for is it's for grouping your tables together in different schema. So what I need each one of these tables to be listed with a CUST like that. Now, the square brackets aren't really necessary unless you have spaces in your names, but since that code generator, that diagramming tool generated it with square brackets, I might as well follow that. I found a long time ago, you don't fight against your tools, you try to work with them. So if I went in and stripped all those square brackets off, that'd just be more time for me to, they're fine, they don't hurt anything. But that's what I need to do. I need to prepend all of this with that. I need to find everywhere there's a table name. Now, luckily, most of my table names have the word customers already in it. So the way I'm going to do this is with a little find and replace tool. Good. All right, so we got it looking good in that way. So there's one more thing we got to do. Now, this is still a big time saver, even though it seems like, wow, this takes a lot of time. Believe me, if I had to hand write all this out, which I've done many, many times in the past, but this is definitely a big time saver. And it puts in, transactions, which is good. That way if any one table has a problem, none of them get made, because down here you have a commit transaction statement. So that's good. And it called it quick QBD or quick DBD. That's fine. I don't care, as long as it's consistent. But anyway, the other thing I have to get rid of here is the word string, because that should be really an nvarchar 255. So let me do a Control H on that and type in nvarchar or char, however you pronounce it, 255, and we'll replace all of those. So now this is ready to go. So I'm going to save it, and I'm going to go find it because it's in my downloads folder. So let me go here and I'll say show in folder. So there it is right there. I'm going to bring it over to my migrations folder. Just going to drag it in there. And I'm going to rename it. As you can see, there's a naming convention with migrations. You always want to name them after the date in a sequential order. Today's the 19th. Happy Father's Day yesterday to anyone. Okay, so this is the second one I've made, and I give it a good title. Create customer tables, in plural, because I'm creating like a lot of them all at once. Okay, so that's ready to go. Let me jump over to SQL Server and double check that I'm in the dev database. Open. There it is right there. And there's no errors. Oh, wait, we have a little bit of an error there. I don't think that's going to be a problem because cust is actually in there. It, for whatever reason, doesn't think it is. So let me go ahead and just execute this and see if it works. Yeah, commands completed successfully. So if I come here to tables and I refresh, there are my tables, all from the diagram. Very good tool. This is a very good tool. So that's quickdatabaseddiagrams.com. And I'm going to send them a link to this video because I'm trying to get 1 year for free. They're offering if you help them with a little promotion. So very good tool. All right, let me get back to here. There's one other thing I want to look at before I end this video. If I go to the design view of any of these, you'll see that not only are there indexes in place, but there's also relationships already in place. All these relationships were created from these FK statements right here. This one here is a one-to-many, and if you just do the dash alone, it's a one-to-one. All right, so that's pretty neat. That saves a lot of time. And I'm going to go ahead and end this video right there. And so I hope you're enjoying this so far. I've showed you a new tool, show you how to make the diagrams. Oh, and by the way, the diagram itself, including the picture, but also including this stuff over here on this side, it can all be saved as an artifact. So one of the things that I do, my customers really appreciate all the time, is the artifacts folder gets all full of all kinds of stuff, especially work logs. Every time I work, I log it, even if it's just working for a couple of hours. I type in, of course, the time in and time out and what it is I worked on, and then that way the customer can go back and look at it anytime they want. But also notes that I might take, diagrams, obviously the migrations, even these screencasts that I'm doing right now. If I do any for that particular project for the customer, I'll save every one of them. Every one of them. So there's a lot to look through for the customer, and they appreciate that on the side of documentation. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and end that video there. I hope you're enjoying the series, and I'll see you in the next video.